work ethic to really delve in and learn what he needs to know. He can quote you bills, he can quote who sponsored the bills, what they did. So he has all the tools to be successful, but he can't do it by himself.
Yeah.
One person can make a difference, but there's got to be a big crowd behind him, and I want to be part of that.
Wonderful. So when you watch him, what makes you think he's got the fire?
Well, it's just his whole demeanor, and the fact that he's a family man. Nothing can get you fired up more than your family, and I know from personal experience. I got fired up in the 80s over the schools, and I ran for the school board against high opposition. My opponent was endorsed by the Columbian, the Teachers Union, and the Classified Employees Union, and I won.
Yeah, go Sharon.
So I believe with the hard work, with getting your message to the people, I do believe that we still are the majority, but people don't get our message because we're dominated by a liberal press at all levels. And so we have to take it to the people. We have to go to the grassroots.
Absolutely. So if you were going to inspire everybody here to go out and recruit another 5 people to light the fire,
Okay.
what would you tell them is a really great reason to do that? Because so many people are apathetic. There's so many people who I think are just beat down and like, I'm exhausted by this all. How do we light their fire?
Well, different people are motivated by different things. But one thing I do know for sure is that, like Ronald Reagan said, our freedoms can be lost in one generation. We are in that moment today. We need to make sure that other people know that. People are so busy with their work and with their jobs and with their families, and they don't listen to the news, they don't have time, they don't realize that Rome is burning. And we need to put out the fire.
We need to light our own fire to
Yes,
put out that
yes,
fire.
yes. Sometimes firefighters do light a fire to go to get rid of the fuel for the existing fire.
So how do we find out what lights people's fire? You know, how do we get it to them that, man, Rome is burning. You may be sitting in your home and not watching anything, but Rome is burning.
I think, at least for me, if it's people that I know, I kind of understand what issues they care about. So I would appeal to what issues have the most immediate impact on their lives. I live in a mature neighborhood, so it would be more grandchildren than children. And so you just have to kind of know your audience. When you're talking to strangers at the park or something, ask them. Ask them what concerns you, and then tell them why Jeremy would be the answer to that.
Absolutely.
Which means you have to know what Jeremy stands for.
Yeah. So what did you notice about Jeremy as a family man?
He, in the middle of a campaign, he's going camping. I mean, that's probably not a wise political choice, you know.
But a good one.
But I really believe that God honors when we have our hierarchy in line with this.
So in other words, what you're saying is, even though this campaign is super important to him, he's not giving up his number one values, which are family, and so he's walking his walk instead of just talking the talk.
Exactly. Very, very well put. Thank you.
And what do you know about him as a local businessman? I mean,
I don't know anything about him as a local businessman.
What would you guess about his ethics in business from what you know about him?
From the homework that he's done running for the job, I would think he was extremely successful on his income producing job.
And do you think that he understands what it's like to run a small business?
Oh,
with
yes.
all the complications and the increasing taxes, and You know, I mean, it's all very well to understand the corporations, but do you think he's well qualified to understand what the little people have to go through? I'm going to Disney World. It's small world after all.
Oh, gosh.
Well, like I said, I'm not as informed
And
of his
business-wise.
professional side, but knowing what I've seen just from him, having done his homework and everything, I would think that he's very well. That I know that he would perform well. Now, even earning an income where it's not a union job on seniority, nothing. Both my parents were union people, so it's not anti-union. It's just saying, knowing that he's not getting paid just because he happens to be a union worker,
Yeah.
and he gets paid whether he produces or not, and knowing that it's result oriented.
Yes.
Otherwise, you don't get to keep your job in the private industry. If you don't perform, you don't stay, or you don't get promoted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you know Jeremy's family.
Yes.
So given the values that you think he was brought up with,
Mhm.
what values do you think he brings with him that are really important for this next stage for him?
Honesty,
Honesty.
faithfulness, commitment.
I've heard him speak a lot about accountability.
Oh yeah, that too. I'm sure I know his mom.
Yeah, we'll speak to her about
Yeah,
all of
okay.
that. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this conversation before I turn to everyone else?
I would just like to say I've lived in the 49th for 43 years. I even ran for office once in the 49th. I've never been more excited about a candidate in the 49th than I am about Sharon.
Oh, that's